Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to HVAC Startup Technicians. And I don't know if it's a reunion, but we have David back for a hot topic that we're going to talk about. So, welcome back, David. Introduce yourself to the people and tell us where you've been all this long time, man.
Hey man, guys, yeah, this is my partner here, and I heard that he was bringing on a topic live, and it's like I couldn't resist. It was just too tempting to resist. And for whoever listening or who is going to listen over time, this is a very hot topic. Is your boss robbing you your money? And my money is something very important to me. It's like they're running a criminal enterprise. So, Larry, let's go. We
I
have
said
to let
before,
them know about
it's not something I'm gonna stick on. I'm gonna go right into it. And if you're really not comfortable with the topic of race, I will tell you be careful because we living in America, and that is always an issue that people are not getting paid fairly. But you have to find out why you're not getting paid fairly. Now, if you're not
definitely.
performing, is a different. But if you're performing, you're doing the best job you are, you have your certificate, and you're
Oh
not
yeah,
getting paid fairly, hey,
not something wrong.
rest could be something to deal with. So we hope that whoever going through this is not going through that. But David, I will let you just talk a little bit about corporate America and what people could expect in the corporate world if they're just seeing that and how they could do. Talk to me a little bit about the corporate world since you have a lot more education into the corporate world.
Well, boy, I always say, you know what? Sometimes companies don't like to hear this, but usually, if you with a really good company, you could stick there forever. You could you could retire from there. But what I have learned over the years, I am with a good company, I must say, and I'm blessed for that. But what I've noticed is a lot of companies, they don't want to give you large increases. For whatever is the reason, I don't understand it. I always believe that, if a person is loyal to a company, you work hard, you understand? I believe you're supposed to get a just wage pay. But for some reason, they find it very difficult to give you a high bump in pay, which I really can't understand why it is. I don't know if it is race, and I don't want people to think because we are two black guys, that is why. No, I don't know if it is race. I don't know what exactly is it. Maybe they find the increase is too big in one jump. But the weird thing is, if a new person comes in and they ask for the very same rate that you just left the position asking for, most times that person would get the rate. And the rate that you want, if you go and you ask another company that is hiring you, they're willing to pay it. But if you're in that same company and you're trying to get that increase, it's like pulling teeth out. And I don't understand why. Because I always believe that if you work hard and you study hard, you're supposed to get your remuneration. That was the whole purpose, right? And any company should be very glad to have people who are educated, who invest in their education. So you need to reward these people so that other members within your organization or other employees would follow that trend. And that would boost your company's reputation, professionalism. That is what we believe from the Caribbean. And this is what I know to be a principle. But why is it it's not happening to some people?
Well, David, let me just chime in here because most times managers decide that. So, and then you're dealing
Yes.
with people, right? You're dealing with people
Mhm.
which has grown up, as I always say in other clips that I talk about. You are the same person you was when you was 9 years old. So you
Yeah,
really cannot change that person thinking, right?
it's
So
true.
if there is an issue where he doesn't want to give that amount,
Mhm.
the, they just don't want to do it. So and not is only managers,
Mhm.
but if you look at your cell phone company or
Yeah.
your cable company,
Yes,
sometimes it
same
seems like
principle.
loyalty
He is
is just
not rewarded.
is just
It's
not
just,
rewarded.
yeah, I don't understand why.
But,
I believe people should be glad to have loyal employees, to have loyal members. They should be rewarded for their loyalty. But
well,
obviously, it is the reverse, which
but
doesn't make any sense to
so David, you've been in a good company. As guys know, I am in the HVAC field.
me.
You're in. Is it? Does it have something to do with the field I am in? Because my grandma always say, if you can't say something good, say nothing at all. So
Right.
I'm not gonna stand here and vouch for the company I work for and say they're good or bad. I'll just remain neutral. But
Right.
as I said
I
here, I cannot endorse them based because I always believe in being honest and sincere with my audience. And I did this topic too because I think I am not being paid fairly. So, David, you go ahead and
well,
chime in a little bit about that.
what I have known, I have worked in the field before, and I've worked in the office. So I've worked both corporate and I have worked in the field. And what I know, there is a certain stigma that is associated with people who are outside of the corporate office environment. And
Right.
I don't understand why. Because these are the people, the bread and butter of any organization. These are the people who work and bring money into the company. So I don't understand why there is a stigma to the people who actually goes into the field and who is actually doing the labor work that is bringing money into a company. That is a
Yeah.
big issue in
Whatever. Let me just chime in here a little bit because I work in a place where sometimes we have to check into the office. You're more into the
that.
office, and you was in Grenada when you know how the struggles are. But
Right.
what I realized, David, like when you go to certain people in certain position, they would
Mhm.
look down on you because they think they're better than you because they're
Yes.
sitting in the air condition
Yep.
or they're making much more money than you, and they
Mhm.
will kind of look at you from up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from the above. Look. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you can't. But that's again is somebody thinking though, because as you know,
Yes.
there is people that has money and be successful,
Mhm.
and they just down to earth, and there's
Yes,
people that
yes.
you know they may have a $2 increase, and then they think
Mhm.
they better than everybody. But what these people have to realize when you're halfway up the ladder, you're still halfway down, so you still got to
Yes.
check and see where you are and check
Oh,
yourself. But
definitely.
you check yourself because you know we find that from time to time, David. But let me just talk about these bosses and these companies because it's not an isolated incident. What you're saying, it's
No,
something that
no,
happens
I'm
a
seeing
lot.
it. Yeah. Mhm. It's
Mhm.
not just one company, it's just like a principle. It's almost like if anybody who is up already, it's almost like they don't care about anybody who is down. As I said, I don't have that problem with my company. God bless, because I would have left, right?
Yeah.
But this is what happens is like once the people above is up, they don't care about the other people who are down below. So it's almost like selfish, total
So
selfish.
like
I
you getting your
remember,
big money, David.
yeah, and you
You and
don't
my
care about
supervisor, and you
nobody.
getting your money. You don't really care what I make.
No, no,
You
of
don't really
course
care to
not.
help. You don't really care to pull up the people because
No,
you getting paid. Your kids are well fed, right? So
precisely.
that's what it
But
boils down to.
what they fail to realize is that you have your family to look after too, right? And if
Hmm.
you're worried about the income that you bringing in to take care of your family, definitely you wouldn't have a satisfied employee. You won't have somebody who's giving it their all, that kind of stuff. And that is what you need to give a good impression there outside of your company.
So,
So
so
they're actually doing themselves a disservice.
So do
And
you say just a wickedness too, David? It's just a okay. Is it a company or is it a management problem? Because we don't want to say
it's
that just a company. It got to be a management problem, right? A
well,
manager, a bad manager. Is that what you're going to say they have?
Well, any company is not the company itself, it is the people who make the company. So I have to blame the managers.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a bad manager, you have bad management, and people are going to get the wrong impression about that company. I know before, like certain companies, they used to, they used to, well, what would I say, not pay their employees as best as they could so that they can receive this fat bonus at the end of the year. And it's like, I was amazed when I figured out how much these guys are actually getting in bonuses afterwards. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're underpaying. Well, not really underpaying, but you're not satisfactory compensating the people who are doing all the hard work and bringing the revenue into the company, and you are going home with a fat bonus off of the sweat of these people who you're underpaying. That is why I say in the beginning, it's a criminal enterprise. It's
So
like we criticize and we talk about, oh, the Indians where they're running these children and they're underpaying these people, but it's the very same system that we sort of criticize. Indirectly, we are doing a similar thing.
mm-hmm.
So it's like, as we does say, pot telling potty bottom black, but
Right,
both
right,
bottoms are black, you know.
right, right.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's very, I'm trying to understand, and all these years that I've trying to figure it out, I came to the conclusion that it has to be the people who are in power, who are just, they don't care about anybody else. And once they're up, that's all that matters.
So David, is also a friendship thing. That is how the boss see you. So he go decide if, okay, this guy is my friend. So I invite him to some of my family function. I know him. What I realized when I just got into the field, David, I had a hard time finding a job, as you guys know. So I took a year before I could have found a job. And when I was going to school, because I went to school first, there's a little backstory. Before I could have found a job, it took me almost a year. And I was asking guys, I say, well, man, I'm trying to find a job. How do you find? My dad plays golf with the guy here, the owner of the company, we goes to the same church. So it is, as we don't say in the Caribbean, it's our old boys network. It's still who you know, David. And even I don't know if it's happening in corporate America, but sometimes in smaller companies, if you get an increase or you get a raise or you get promotion, it is not based on your ability, but based on who you know. Do you agree?
That is 100%. I believe so. Definitely. Because sometimes you would see, I am not being critical, I'm not just talking about me, but I know sometimes there are certain people, I worked with companies where they were not doing the best job, but they were getting increases, and it's like, how is this possible? You know? And I actually have seen it personally, and I have noticed it personally, and this is just not right. They have to get this thing done properly. And a lot of owners and whatnot have to look into these issues, because it's not just financial. Sometimes it's the way they treat a particular employee, or it's like Tom Jones could get away with anything, but certain people, they have them under the microscope, that kind of stuff. And they just can't seem to get their way. And it all has to do with who is your good friend, who you know inside the company. And that is not how a career should be built, and that's not how remuneration should be rewarded.
Well, David, as I said before, I think so, and my personal opinion, guys doing that is heartless. I would use the word the wicked, but in the same breath, I want to give some confidence to people that might be going through that situation right now. Because the normal thing for you to do is to think that you're not performing and bring yourself down and think there is something wrong with you. So what we want to do also is to kind of move on and give you some encouragement and say, listen, there is nothing wrong with you. So we don't want you to think that just because you're not getting a promotion, you're wrong and you're not performing and this is not for you. And I'm going to just give up. So let me talk about that, David. Give the guys some words of encouragement, guys that are going through this, that are not getting paid. Give them some encouragement and words of advice. I will let you go first, David.
Well, what I would say is, if a manager is not calling you to the office, if a manager is not bringing to your attention problems that he has found in your job, definitely it cannot be an employee's fault. It cannot be that an employee is not performing, because the role of a manager should be to mentor his employees and to guide them when they're going down, to pull them up, that kind of stuff. So it's only a bad manager, or a manager who just doesn't care, or a manager who is looking for an excuse not to justifiably pay you. They come up with this lame excuses that you're not performing, but they haven't told you, they have never complained about your job. They have never brought anything to your attention. How is it only when you come to ask for a raise or a promotion or something like that, you get the whole story about you're not performing, you have not been doing X, Y, and Z? What has happened all this time you've been working with company? Why wasn't that brought to your attention so that you could improve?
Right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But I know I read something somewhere that said people don't leave company, they leave bad management. And I might be a little bit more raw than David, because I would say, hey, it's just a wicked manager. There is no way to put it. The guy is just a wicked guy, be it man or woman, if you're in a position and you're not treating people fairly. Like there's always says, treat people the way you want them to be treated. Because the same thing a manager might be doing to somebody else, if they was in that situation and somebody was doing that to them, they would not be happy.
Stay.
And there was in situations, and most times there was in situations like that before, where Yeah.
That is what's so amazing. Is like everybody who has begin from the bottom have gone through some situation like that. And
Right.
when a manager finally reaches a position where he can make a difference, I'm amazed that he has turned into the very same kind of people that he criticized when he began.
Mm-hmm.
They
What?
forget from where they came.
But David, because his food is buttered, right?
Yes.
His food is on the table, so he really don't care. Because
No.
as a manager, you have to look at your legacy and see how much people have elevated.
Yeah.
How many people has you made a difference in their lives? And if
Mhm.
that is not it, well, hey, I don't know what to say, but I still want to give words of encouragement, David. Anything else, David, you want to add
No,
to the fact? Go ahead.
I just want to say, to a lot of people, don't pull yourself down. If you notice that you're doing a good job, you're getting good reviews from your peers, they're giving you good thumbs up. The people who you're reporting to, giving you good feedback. Customers are giving you good feedback. It is not you, it is your supervisors and managers who are just not giving you your deserved wages. And sometimes you just have to cut that neighbor string and move on. Because what I have noticed is if you're in such type of companies, usually 2 years, you have to move on to see some kind of financial progress.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not what I believe in. I believe in loyalty. But when you're in those situations, that is usually your only course that you have to take.
Right. You have to
It,
leave.
yeah, it's tough, but you have no choice. You have family, you have a life to live. You just got to do what you got to do. If they wouldn't do what they have to do.
So, David, in a situation like that, would you, where you go, okay, I'll be straight transparency for me here, where I have a certificate. I went to
Mm,
school for 4 years and didn't get what I was told I was gonna get. In a
that's
situation,
ridiculous.
in a situation like that, do you? Well, that's why I said wickedness is nothing but wickedness. Do you go back to that guy? Would you ever have a conversation with race? I don't think you should ever have a conversation about race with him again.
No, but that just tells you the caliber of manager that you have. Because if you're qualified and a qualified person is due a certain wage, let's just say it's established through the organization,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter race, it doesn't matter whatever it is. That person's supposed to be getting the same wages as anybody who would have had that certificate. And a lot of them might come up with lame excuses and say, oh, John has been doing this job for how long? And John has more experience than you, but John is not certified.
Right.
So what are they telling you? So what encouragement can you give somebody to go and educate themselves if they're not being compensated for it? So
Right.
what's the point of your education?
Right.
I
Right.
did a computer degree for 4 years and it was difficult for me. And you
Mm-hmm.
can imagine after I do my 4 years degree and pay for maybe 40 or $50,000 out of my pocket, you're still telling me that I can't get what is due to me after such an investment. That is
Mm-hmm.
borderline criminal.
Right. But David, we have to talk about it because in my situation, there is guys that don't have a certificate
Mhm.
that's been around me. Let me say they might have a 2 years ahead of me in the company,
Right.
and
Uh-huh.
they getting that without a certificate. So
So
don't, and another thing, boss, he said don't discuss your salary, but don't care how many
mm,
times you say that. That does happen. So talk a little bit about just before we leave, David. We don't have much time, but let me talk about
yes.
why do they don't want you to discuss your salary. What's the catch
I
behind that?
What I have come to conclude is they don't want you to know that you are treated unfairly, or they don't want to know that you're being robbed. They want
Because
to
as a matter of
rob
fact,
you blind.
your salary is your salary.
Yes,
You could decide who you want to tell and who you don't want to tell.
yeah, that's your affair, you know what I mean? But what happens is it reflects back on them because if two guys know, okay, we both came in the company at the same time, we have the same amount of experience, we're doing the same quality of job because we haven't had any complaints. Like so Tom Jones is getting, let's say, $15, other person $25. What is accounted for that large discrepancy?
Hmm. Hmm.
And they can't come and say Tom Jones is doing a different quality or a different type of work.
Hmm.
then you need to make sure that I could get that level of exposure too. So then I have those opportunities to earn that salary if that is the case.
Right.
But you can't not let me have those kind of jobs that could earn better wages. Give it to Tom Jones. And when I come for an increase, you might come and tell me, oh, well, Tom Jones does be working on, let's say, the rooftop, and you
Right.
just be working on the floor. Why
Right.
is it I'm not given an opportunity to work on the roof to get a good
Exactly.
wage then? You know?
But again, with them, we have a lot of stuff like sexism also. Isn't that a situation where I've heard that so in some companies they pay men more than they pay women? Did you ever hear of
It's
instances
true.
like that also?
I have heard that over the years. I have never seen it personally because a lot of people that I interact to is not really ladies because
Hmm.
I'm more in a men-dominated field. So I've never had that experience, but I've heard about it. I've heard about situations in even celebrities where they quit an actual show because
Right.
one leader is paid more than the other, that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
I know the sexism is an issue inside there as well
Okay.
for the disparity. But any company that is run fairly, any company that is run properly, a manager who has proper management experience and is being properly educated would know that
Hmm.
what they're doing is not right and it
Hmm.
needs to be corrected. I've seen it too much times. I've heard about it too much times. It's time to start rewarding people who are justifiably in that
Based on
situation.
based on what they're doing and all that different stuff that's going on. Anyway, David. So I said before, man, that was a really
Mhm.
really good topic. I wanted to hit that. I said before, and I wanted to talk about management because
Yeah,
in our field, they just take a guy that might be old. He might be a good worker, and they say you're a
yeah,
manager, but some of them
yeah.
doesn't really have any managerial
Experience.
experiences, and they doesn't know
Yeah, yeah.
how to deal with people, especially when you have people of different races. You
Yes.
know, like you have to treat
Different cultures.
you can't treat
Yes, you
everybody the
have
same, but
to.
you
Yes,
got to treat everybody fairly, and sometimes
fairly.
that's a
Yeah.
hard thing. As we were talking earlier on off camera, David, and we were saying that everybody, even us, will have a little bit of racial bias. Don't you still
Yes,
agree with that?
even yes, you're more inclined to gravitate to the people of your specific culture or what not have you.
Yeah.
It's
So
all within us. Even
right,
we have the same problem.
exactly, exactly.
Every ethnicity have that. We understand that. But as a manager, that is not an excuse. You're
Hmm.
supposed to be properly trained to how would we say, to look at a situation and not be biased and deal with it
But
according to somebody's
David,
ability and
that's
skill.
not as easy as it sounds, because sometimes
No,
we
I
all
know
have
it's difficult.
we all have a bias. We all have
Oh
a
yes.
bias towards it. It's how we grew up. What's our
Mhm,
interpretation of that person? Because if we grew up, I don't want to talk about the race too much, but if we grew up in a
mhm,
certain way, like let me just draw a reference. This is just a reference, so I don't want to
mhm.
stray too much. That you have a cop and a young guy growing up, and his dad say, you know what, these black people, man, I had a hard time. They break in my house, they rob me, they
Yeah,
this
yeah,
that, and that is his experience. What do you think gonna happen when you go in the force and you have to interact with that?
yeah. The same thing.
Listen, you could give that guy as much training, but that
Yeah,
teaching is in the back of him that I have to be careful. I have to be extra careful because I'm
yeah,
dealing
yeah,
with
yeah.
a different race. So I
But
guess it's all in the mind. Go on.
but that is why they're paying these managers the big bucks,
Mm-hmm.
is for them to perform outside of what is normal or usual behavior. So if they're
Mm-hmm.
paying a manager for his managerial role, when he walks in the door, he has to leave all those personal attributes outside the door and come into the office with a professional mindset. That is what they're paying him for. And if
Right.
he's not doing that and he's treating employees unfairly and differently, I
Mm-hmm.
believe he should be fired too.
Right.
Yeah, straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he should be fired.
Anyway, Larry, anything you want to add before we close off, man?
No, 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 Larry. I couldn't resist. I want to say thank you for inviting me to join you on this because this is a heated topic. We could talk for hours on this thing. We could
Mm-hmm.
really get crazy with it. But
Yeah. Right.
we just want people to just understand clearly what
Okay.
it is,
Mm-hmm.
what to look for. When you need to make a hard decision, you have to cut the animal from the
And
horn.
then you said the best thing to do if you're not getting fairly is to leave that
You
company
have
and
you
go
have
somewhere
to go.
else.
You have to go. You have no other choice. They have no other choice. Yeah.
But it's to be. Anyway, David, tell the people a little bit about you and what you've been up to and what you're doing. Feel free to plug your channel.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I wouldn't even bring my channel into this, but yeah, I've been spinning up and doing a little bit of YouTubing on the side. Busy with the family life here with the kids and that kind of stuff. But otherwise than that, me and Oni, we have still communicating as usual, you know. That's why I'm here. I know what's going on. So big up to everybody, and he's doing a wonderful job. I'm not just saying that because he's my partner, but I've been watching the content that he has been producing. And from a partner standpoint, I couldn't resist but to come and join him on this because this is a heated topic that everybody should really get some positive and realistic feedback from. So,
Anyway, guys,
thank you again, my boy.
and hey, and if you're just watching this and you're watching at the replay, hey, don't forget to comment and subscribe if you're
Definitely.
find value in this video. And David might have said so. I go ahead and says his channel is Caribbean Live, so you could kind of look up. I will definitely leave a link to that if you want to follow David and his motivational stuff. He does a lot of motivational stuff. Please
Thanks,
subscribe also to his channel at Caribbean Live. Anyway, guys, see you on the next show. Bye.
Have a good one.